Welcome, I'm Catherine Hadro, and this is a special edition of EWTN Pro-Life Weekly. An abortion attempt survivor tells us how she came to forgive her birth mother. Overcoming the odds, a little boy missing 80% of his brain defies doctors' predictions. We have his story. And Camp No Limits, how one camp is helping children with limb loss realize they are not alone. For this week's special edition of EWTN Pro-Life Weekly, we are highlighting a few of our favorite life-affirming and inspiring stories featuring pro-life heroes who have overcome the odds and really show us the beauty of life. But first, we want you to know there is always a way you can be involved in the pro-life movement any day from any place. Whether you're a lawmaker on Capitol Hill or a passionate pro-lifer at home, you can always advance the pro-life movement by following our call to action. We are always monitoring the top priority in the pro-life movement and how we together can leverage our pro-life voice to make a difference. Here's how we can do that with our call to action. Each and every week, if you go to prolifeweekly.com, we provide a way for you to take pro-life action. Whether it's signing a petition or sending a message to your lawmaker, we update our call to action week to week based on the pro-life movement's greatest needs. Be sure to take action by going to prolifeweekly.com. In the pro-life movement, we are so often the voice for the voiceless. But we share with you the story of a woman who survived an abortion and is speaking for herself in a bold way. Weighing less than 3 pounds, Melissa Ohden was born beating the odds. She is a survivor of a failed saline infusion abortion.
God did have a plan.
It's a procedure that injects a toxic salt solution into the amniotic fluid surrounding a preborn child. Cared for by NICU nurses at first, baby Melissa was soon adopted into a loving home. Now, Ohden is a wife and mother, a Catholic convert, and a pro-life advocate, with speeches spanning from pregnancy centers to Capitol Hill.
I'm here today to share my story to not only highlight the horror of abortion taking place at Planned Parenthood, but to give a voice to other survivors like me.
It's a journey detailed in her new memoir, You Carried Me, released this month. Melissa recounts a series of tough truths, including when she, as a teenager, learned about the abortion attempt on her life.
To be 14 years old, it absolutely devastated my life. And I think like so many young people, right, I didn't want anybody else to know how much I was hurting.
So Melissa turned to what she calls her unholy trinity of coping mechanisms: bulimia, alcohol, and sex.
People often ask me, how did you ever come out of that? And I always say it really wasn't me. It wasn't. It was the grace of God that saved me. And I had to be willing to wake up and every day say, you know what, I'm not going to do that today, right?
The focus of the memoir continues onto Melissa's search for her birth mother as she wonders whose blood runs through my veins. She discovers her birth mother was a 19-year-old college student pressured to get an abortion. She thought Melissa had been dead for over 30 years. Ohden's perspective throughout the journey is strikingly compassionate. Tell us how you came to have that approach.
It's a response that I think has deepened over time. I've always loved her, but my love for her deepens year after year. And not just because the circumstances of her life and mine are now different, right? I know the truth about how she was forced into that abortion. But I think the older I get, the more I learn how to love people and respect them for who they are. And I think motherhood has been a bond that she and I can really connect on that level. And it's a love story, right? It's a love story that God wrote and man attempted to rewrite that whole story, and God's story wins in the end.
Now, you had finished this book, you had finished your memoir, you were done, and then something happened. And then you met your birth mother for the first time. Tell us about that.
Whew. That's where I have to take a deep breath. After everything I've gone through in my life and my healing from it, my tears are not tears of pain, my tears are just tears of incredible gratitude, right? I was not expecting to meet her in the course of the last few months. You know, we have spent years getting to know one another, build trust, uncover secrets together. And so we met face to face for this first time early this summer. And I guess the short version of that would be it was everything I ever could have expected and more. To know that she spent over 30 years of her life believing that I had died at the hospital, you know, how she suffered from immense regret and guilt. And then to have the opportunity to know that her child is alive and loves her and has forgiven her, and then get to meet face to face. Yeah, my excitement was for her probably more than me. But it was life-changing. I will never forget the moment that I saw her and we got to embrace. And I think the words that came out of my mouth was, "It's been a long time."
What a powerful witness. Brandon and Brittany Buell were told their son Jaxon wouldn't make it full term, then wouldn't survive a few days, then a few weeks. But that little boy defied the odds because his family said yes to life.
Hi, buddy.
You're just in a snuggling kind of mood this morning, aren't you?
I love you, bud.
Like many young married couples, Brandon and Brittany Buell were excited to learn in late 2013 they were expecting a baby. It was a bundle of joy soon strained by troubling news. The Buells' 17-week ultrasound indicated their growing baby boy likely had spina bifida.
They painted a very negative picture. They transferred us to a high-risk clinic in Orlando, Florida, and we went through ultrasound after ultrasound, week after week.
We went twice a week, it seemed like, for some sort of ultrasound, some sort of testing, some sort of counseling. Even our genetic counselor, who was supposed to be neutral, steered us more towards an abortion or termination, as they called it.
Right.
And even we denied it, and they scheduled it anyways, just in case we changed our minds.
But Brandon and Brittany didn't change their minds. And on August 27, 2014, Jaxon Buell was born, missing roughly 80% of his brain.
Well, I remember laying there when I was getting my C-section, and he tried to prepare me for just even how small his head was. And even that first initial shock was like, okay, we're really in for something, because he was a lot smaller than I ever anticipated.
Jaxon, as far as doctors can tell, is not in pain, but is severely disabled. He receives his nutrition from a tube and has frequent startle seizures.
It's okay. Hey,
It's all right,
Mommy's
big
right
guy.
here. I got you. Did you fall asleep?
Misdiagnosis after misdiagnosis, the Buells finally learned their son's condition when he turned 1. Jaxon has microhydranencephaly, which means there's spinal fluid where his brain's left and right hemispheres should be. Brandon and Brittany made a decision early on in their parenting. Instead of preparing for Jaxon's death, they would focus on Jaxon's life.
We want him to experience as much as possible, and it's really benefited him because he's really smart and strong and he's learning.
They document his strides in Facebook videos.
Bud. Mommy's proud of you. Look at you eating that cookie.
Jaxon eating on his own.
Good job! Look at those big steps.
Jaxon attempting to walk. The Buells even claim to hear their son say, "I love you," like in this moment, captured here.
I love you.
Jaxon recently passed the 2.5-year mark, another achievement defying what the family's doctors predicted.
There's a great chance he will not survive, and then if he does survive, he'll probably never hear, probably never see, probably never walk, probably never talk, probably never know when he's hungry, basically not be able to do anything effectively. We still walked forward in our own faith saying it's not our choice.
The Buells want to help other families also living with a medical marvel, so they created the Jaxon Strong Foundation to help raise awareness and funds for neurological research. And the Christian couple released a book chronicling lessons they've learned. It's titled, "Don't Blink."
This life is short. Happiness is fleeting. Nothing lasts forever. And it's enjoying the moment. It's seizing the day. It's carpe diem.
You mentioned that Jaxon was here born for a purpose. What do you think that purpose is?
I think it comes down to hope. He's already touched so many more lives than I will ever be able to touch. And he's not even 3. we know better than anybody else, there's a great chance we outlive our son. And although that'll be tough, if and when that day happens, it does not discount anything he's done. It does not take away any value he has. Value is not in how many days you're here, but it's truly to show that every single one of us has a unique story and what we can contribute to society.
I love you, Jaxon.
Coming up on this special edition of EWTN Pro-Life Weekly, we introduce you to Camp No Limits. Hear about the camp for children and families with limb loss, so they can come together and realize they are not alone. Welcome back to a special edition of EWTN Pro-Life Weekly. I'm Catherine Hadro. As we honor the dignity of human life, we remember that's a dignity that belongs to each and every life, no matter his or her ability or disability. It's also a dignity that should extend everywhere, including in the classroom. In this special edition of EWTN Pro-Life Weekly, we now introduce you to a program empowering students with Down syndrome and other intellectual or developmental disabilities to further their education and live a fulfilling life.
It's a lot of fun. It's a really good opportunity to be here.
Young adults whose disabilities have traditionally excluded them from higher education are able to take a seat in the classroom at George Mason University, where Dr. Heidi Graff is program director of the school's Mason Life program.
Two of our major goals for the program are for students to seek meaningful employment after graduation, and then also to have community integration. Our students come in and they have some foundational academic classes that they need to take, kind of building blocks, getting ready classes, so that then starting their second semester, they go out and they take regular catalog classes. They do so with support, and it's for non-credit, so we're able to modify the course as much as the student might need.
The Mason Life program provides a post-secondary education for students with a variety of intellectual and developmental disabilities. There are approximately 50 students, supported by about 100 staff members. While the classroom is diverse, the students and alumnus we interviewed happen to all have Down syndrome and are all Catholic.
I love being Catholic so much. It's kind of so important.
Upon meeting them, it's clear these young adults dream big.
My biggest dream is to become a pop star.
I want to become a Hollywood film director.
My dream is to be an ER nurse.
In a world that points out differences, the Mason Life program reminds us how ultimately we're all alike.
Perhaps they need to have more systematic teaching, and perhaps they need more support. But the end goal is the same. All students who go to university want to graduate and have a meaningful job.
Just like the rest of the George Mason University Patriots, these Mason Life students are learning how to be adults. The program's independent living classes and internship opportunities prepare them for the real world.
Through independent living, they show me how to respect other people, like two people need to cook in the kitchen together.
I work at a preschool called Child Development Center.
I get to learn other buildings, which is pretty cool. So the first experience with the buildings that I had is of coming to class and coming back to the dorms. So I could figure that out on my own and I did all by myself.
Patrick, or PK Kelly, a recent alumnus of Mason Life, has carried the lessons he learned from the program on to 2 jobs.
I work in a Giant. First week I'm doing is bagging groceries, and normally I helping people out. And I got another job on Capitol Hill. Capitol Hill is my internship, and I am working at Brian Fitzpatrick's office, and I open envelopes.
The staff at George Mason Life say the growth is astounding.
Growth. I've definitely seen a lot of confidence, especially in regards to their reading, and a real ownership of that they can do work, not only in our classrooms, which are more self-contained, but also when they go to take classes around George Mason campus. Personally, I see a lot of independence too. And once again, I can go around campus. I can figure out how I want to get around the community. I can be a successful member of the community once I graduate too.
So one of my greatest things to see is a student come to us who maybe didn't have those skills. Maybe they just knew how to sort their laundry, and they graduate and they not only know how to do all of their laundry skills, but to cook their meals and to have time management, to be able to budget their money. That's a joy.
These students are not defined by disabilities or the can'ts. They're empowered to know they can.
Being a college student can be a little stressful sometimes after high school, but becoming a college student is really fun.
My favorite thing being college is making new friends, making happy faces on each other's face.
I think George Mason is a really good opportunity because it's really amazing school and people just love it here, and it's like a big family to us. And it's a lot of fun. We have like a connection to us.
Mason Life grads have exceeded goals and gained new ground. And if your office hires a person with an intellectual and developmental disability, maybe then you can grow too.
We're finding that the student, of course, gains tremendous skills, but the real change are the other people in the office, the people without the disability. It opens their mind to all that people can do, all that people can relate to. So that's the big change, and it's life-changing.
Those are some all-star students. From the classroom to summer camp now, we introduce you to a camp that empowers the lives of a very special group of kids.
You may not notice at first glance, but this 11-year-old girl full of life happens to be missing the lower part of her left leg.
I had a problem with my bones, so I had to get amputated.
Tatiana drew a picture one day of a little boy who had a prosthetic leg like hers. And she brought it to us and said, one day I'm going to make a friend that looks like me. We didn't know where we were going to find that little friend. So her big sister did some research and found camp.
That camp they discovered is Camp No Limits. Here, kids without limbs, either from an accident or from birth, can just be kids. Camp activities are both fun and physical therapy.
One of the kids that was there said it was better than going to Disney World.
Camp founder Mary Layton is an occupational therapist who's worked with people of all levels of limb loss. Her goal is to support the entire family and empower the kids who come.
People may feel sorry for our campers, but for our campers, I don't think that they want them to feel sorry for them. They just learn to adapt. Sometimes in life things happen and you learn to adapt and you just make the best of every situation you can. And I think our campers really strive hard to move past the stares and the comments and things. It makes them a little bit stronger.
It's a mission that's obviously resonating. Layton started Camp No Limits in 2004 with only 4 campers. Today, it's grown to 10 camps nationwide, with people traveling from all over the world to attend. Pedro Pimenta lost all 4 limbs as a teenager in Brazil. He benefited from Camp No Limits and now gives back as a staff member.
And especially for kids, that sense of belonging is very important for them, and being the different kid in the block can be difficult. We're here to eliminate that, to give them a sense of you're normal. And even some kids will bring the best friends over, and the best friends will get educated and go back to school and educate others.
It's that sense of belonging that might be the most valuable part of this camp.
I have always wondered whether I was just alone with my condition, but Camp No Limits has helped me realize that there's a lot of kids out there like me, and it's just a really amazing camp.
7-year-old Logan agrees.
So when I was born, I was missing a bone. So me and my family tried every doctor. Our doctor said that I needed prosthetics. So they cut it out in my feet because it had no bones in it. Camp No Limits is helping me make new friends.
Campers here have learned new lessons.
There's no excuses. No excuses. Do not give up. Keep going. Keep trying. Never give up.
Formed new friendships. And discovered new gifts. Camp No Limits lets these kids forget about what they're missing and to remember what they have.
That does it for this special edition of EWTN Pro-Life Weekly. I hope you feel a little bit more inspired and empowered as we remember the dignity of each and every human life, no matter the ability or disability, and no matter whether inside or outside the womb. We would love to hear from you, whether you have a story idea, a comment, a question. You're a big part of this program, so let's connect online. Find us on social media at EWTN Pro-Life, and you can always send us an email at prolifeweekly@ewtn.com. Until next week, remember, life is a gift. Your life is a gift. God bless.